This was my outfit today. Found something to go with these pants. You know, got the yellow, the blue, got the pink undershirt. So yeah. So we was outside, and it was this he was outside. He brought his brother over, and I guess his brother was kind of he was upset about an altercation he had with his older brother. And I guess this is what they was telling me. They said, like, I guess he just got back from wherever he was, and he was like feeling a certain way. So his brother wound up leaving, talking about he was about to, at first they said they was about to pop bottles, drink this and the third, but then he wound up leaving, and they looked like they was kind of feuding in a way. Like, he was like, all right, it is what it is, this, that, and the third. And another guy was like, man, you all right? And he wound up leaving. I'm like, if you want to go with your brother, you can go with your brother. You feel me? If like, yo, you ain't got to stay here, you can go with your brother. And he was like, no, we cool. It's just like, I guess he was about to go, handle that situation with his brother a little bit more. I'm like, if y'all just got into it, why is you going back just to pick more to the situation, pick on the situation a little bit more? Because now, like, you could have just sat back, let it be, and let time pass, and it is what it is. And he was like, well, I didn't ask that, because it's just like anytime I tried to ask that, it's like we was on two separate pages. So, but that's what I was wondering about. So then, so I didn't understand that. I'm just like, all right, that's y'all business. And then he said his brother, like, I told him, I was like, life happens. Life happens to the best of us. And what I mean by life happens to the best of us is like we can be at our all-time best, our all-time like happiest, coolest, content, and everything is going right, and then boom, something happens just like that to just make us fall off track. So that's what I mean by life happens to the best of us. um you can be having all these plans set out. I'm gonna be a engineer, I'm gonna be a technician, like I'm gonna have my own business, this, that, and the third, and then boom, you have babies, you wind up pregnant, or a woman wind up pregnant with your child, and now you got to put off your dreams and your goals and your ambitions. You got to put off all that. So then he loved his woman. And I like that about him, because his mom, he loved his woman, because he loved women because of his mom. He's a mommy's boy. He was like, yeah, um that's what it is with him. That's why, he never likes to see his mom down or nothing. Like, he said he was about to get insurance for his mom, not for his kids. And I'm thinking, like, it should be the other way around. Your mom should be getting insurance for you. But he was like, no, he was wanting to get in like a savings account for his mom and take care of his mom. I'm like, oh, that's cute. So then, um, this we standing there. I'm just like, this woman brushed past us with like a little puppy, like she got a dog, but she didn't say excuse me. She was just like rude towards the situation. She just brushed past. And he was sitting like close to her door, and she just like wiggling her door open, like ain't no saying excuse me, this, that, nothing, just opening the door. Like, I'm like, wow. And he just friendly to her towards the whole time, like, you all right, how are you, how was your day, that's your dog, that's a nice dog. And she just like, she was kind of friendly when it came to talking about her dog. But the way that you brushed past me without saying excuse me, and then you brushed past him and just, oh yeah, like, excuse me, it's my door, can you move over? You could at least say that. She didn't say nothing. She just like opened the door, like, move. You feel me? I was like, wow, that's kind of just like rude. You feel me? And so then, and even though like it seemed like she was bothered, like she was feeling a certain way, but at the same time, when somebody in your way, you don't just brush past them. That's where you can at least use your words, or you can just be like, you know, you don't know these people. That's what I'm saying. Like, if it was your sister or something, yeah, that'd be understandable. Your sister, your brother is understandable, because, oh yeah, you having a bad day. We know you. We know, if you just like, if your mom walking in the house and she barge in and she just goes straight to cleaning, we know to get up out her way, go upstairs, this, that, and the third. But if you don't know people, it's common courtesy. You feel me? It ain't nothing to just say, even if you mad, excuse me. Can I get past you? That's what I'm saying. Um, but I don't know. I ain't about to try to understand that situation. Um, but like I said, well, if you backtrack a little bit, sometimes people don't want to be verbal because they already know how they feel inside. They don't want to project that feeling onto you. But at the same time, you brushing past me without, saying anything, and I'm a stranger to you. How you really gonna handle that situation? So it's just like, um, just use your words regardless of how you're feeling. That's the good thing about the world and the earth. the earth, you let it out, and we outdoors, boom, like the earth gonna take that energy, put that energy wherever it needs to be, but um so yeah, and I'm just like, wow, you friendly to people that's not even friendly to you. But that's the thing about men like him. They got that little Jesus spirit when it comes to, I ain't gonna say little Jesus spirit, but they got that Jesus spirit when it comes to certain people. Even if he say he don't like men and he like women, but at the same time, I feel like he treat the situation the same way. He ain't mean to anybody. He got that friendly, gentle spirit, but he want to give off the impression that he's hostile. You feel me? You can be friendly and gentle with a woman, the next minute you treating her like a man, but intentionally you're a gentle spirit, and you can see right through that. You know. Um, but that's what I was like. I was like, these Akron men. I'm like, I know I'm an Akron woman, but at the same time, y'all Akron men is completely different because y'all crazy to the point where ain't no words. Y'all it's like a mixed signals. Mixed messages. And it's just like it's confusing, and that's what I mean. I'm just like, you know what? That's why I don't even. I'm cool. I'm cool because I ain't trying to figure out what this situation with people when I already got to figure out my life. I was having a conversation before, and I was like, yeah, um, it's either one way or the other. You want to focus on your life and your relationships and the friendships, people, and those personal altercations is one life. And then you got the other life, the business life, the worldly life. It's like you live this life or you live the other life. Because if you merge it together, it's just like, okay, you in one mindset, but you're missing out on the messages life is giving you. Missing out on real life, focused on this autopilot life, this life of this cyber world. You feel me? You living in a cyber world or you living in a real world. But it's just like trying to merge the two. It's like you can merge it, and I feel like you merging it is just like filtering out something. You're filtering out something, but later on you're going to have to deal with that something that you filtered out. But there's a time. There's a time that eventually it will come back to you and it will catch up to you, whatever you filtered out. You feel me? But if you offer one life or you offer one life, you missing this life or you missing that life. But I feel like that's just what it is. So yeah, but I feel like when it comes to real life, there's no filter. There's no filter. Um, when it comes to the cyber world and business world, that type, there's a filter. You feel me? But all that was filtered out, eventually it comes back to you. When you hit that real life again, when you land on earth again. You feel me? So I don't know. I can that's the best way that I can explain it. Um, but yeah, so that's about it. It's my little vent. I'll talk to you next time. Let me be, let me. When you move like that on me. Let me be, let me be. Don't stop, don't talk, just feel, let me. So I am breaking out. I need to get back to my vitamins, and I definitely have to switch up my soap now. I can no longer use the other soap that I bought, so I'm gonna have to go back to my sensitive bar soap, and hopefully this clears up soon. What is the perfect time? The perfect time, summertime, and now I want to break out. All of a sudden I'm breaking out. You feel me? So yeah, tank tops and all that. I gotta chalk it up until my skin clear up. You feel me? So I used some cream last night, and it looked like it's healthy with the bumps, but I still have to do something else for the scarring. Um, but it did help a little bit. So this is what I used in a moment because it was. But I went ahead and used some of this cream. So it was definitely irritated. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna go in with, before I go out, get me some soap and whatnot. Too late to put the flash on, my bad. But I'm gonna I got some frozen Olay here, a little left. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply that to my skin just for the scars. So it'll heal the scarring. The obviously the cream will help the bumps and stuff go away, but it won't heal the scarring. So I'm gonna go in with a piece of aloe vera that I froze. I'm gonna just rub that on my skin. So it'll help the scarring. And then when I get my bar soap, it's all about maintenance from going from that point forward. A lot of bruises. My skin is really, really irritated. I actually have to get my vitamins as well. My vitamins definitely helped. The biotin vitamins, it helped with my skin. That's what I was taking them for. You know, everybody got their purpose of taking the biotin vitamins. Some people do it for hair. Some people do it for, you know, their own reasons. I do it for my skin because my skin is very sensitive. So I'm basically just encouraging the biotin levels in my body and my blood. I am literally fat and full right now. I ate all of my pork. I think it was called pork shoulders. And when I tell y'all I could not just do anything with that, I could not just throw away that juice because that juice was so good. I threw in some noodles. I don't know if it's gonna give the juice flavor because I just realized that I'm going to have to drain the noodles. I'm going to either have to drain the noodles or add some more meat to it. And that's what I'm thinking I'm going to do, is just add some more meat to it. But at the same time, something is telling me to drain the noodles. So, yeah. Man, it was so good. It was so good. But I'm fat and full. I had enough. Literally, I had enough. Like, I don't even think I'm going to go out and buy any more for a very long time. And that's like an occasional thing for me. It's just as good as ham hocks, but it's actually better than ham hocks because that, I don't know, you know, it has just as much fat. No, actually, I think it has more fat than ham hocks. And I don't eat the fat. I try it with some hot sauce, and the fat just ain't given for me. So yeah. But I'm about to drain that out. I don't know if I'm gonna drain it out or not. I don't know. But I know I have to get those noodles out of that water because I don't want them to get them soggy. I don't want to get them soggy. So I'm gonna I guess I'm gonna drain it and let it sit in the pot. And then when I have because I'm planning on going out to the grocery store anyway. And I'm gonna just, mix that, have some type of meat with those noodles. I don't know. Some dishes you just don't want to waste because it's just worth it. It's just worth it. All right, so I'm about to do this. My son is definitely right on his way home. So I'm going to try to do this before he gets here. So this is what it's looking like. That look delicious, don't it? But it's a bunch of gumbo type vibes, without the meat and whatnot. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm about to drain this out. I'm laying here and I could be doing these dishes. I am so mad. I'm so mad about this strainer. Never. I didn't buy it though. It was a gift. This does nothing for me. And here I am trying to try it anyway. That strainer sucks. This strainer sucks. So I let the noodles sit in the water to absorb the juice and whatnot. I could throw in some potatoes to absorb some more of that flavor. But it still has some meat in it as well. So it's looking nutritious. It's looking pretty good. that be, let that sit. Put that on warm. Should I put it on warm or should I turn it off? So this is what it's looking like. I'm sorry, I gotta pee so bad right now though. But I'm about to clean up. This is what the noodles is looking like. I might throw in some butter. I have one more onion in here that I'm gonna use. And I'm gonna toss this butter in here. And I'm just let that sit. It is on warm, so hopefully warm ain't cooking it. I never just let it sit on warm. I always let it sit on low, not realizing that it's still cooking on low. But yeah, I'm gonna let this sit in here and let that butter do its thing. So yeah, this is what I do to make a 2-in-1 meal. You feel me? You ever seen those movies where you had to, wherever side the moss is on, guide you to, you know, kind of like the grass is greener on the other side, so you would have to follow the direction of the moss. The moss is right there, and there's more moss on this side, so you would have to go right, and that's how you'll be able to tell directions. You know, that's the thing about life, is that we get to, if we really pay attention to it and stop being blinded by the glass and the, you know, I'm not gonna say glass because I'm learning more and more about glass, but more so of, you know, everything else, but be here in the present moment. You can really just see life for what it actually is. You feel me? But I remember the movies that used to do that. They used to be like that in the movies. And every time I see moss, I think about those movies, and I wonder, like, is actually real? Obviously it's a what do you call it? It's one of them old folk tales, something like that, but I really believe that it was true. Like, because once upon a time we didn't have navigation, we didn't have a GPS, you feel me? And we had to just pay attention. So I had this dream about this woman. She was paying for me to get like some jewelry, and I was picking out the jewelry for her, which one did I like, and I was telling her which one I like. But I think at first I was just looking at the jewelry, and then she wanted to pay for me, so she wound up paying for the jewelry for me. It reminded me of this moment that just happened. This lady just paid for some groceries of mine because I was short. I didn't have, you know, the remaining balance. I paid a portion, $2, but she paid the rest, and it was $4 and something. I sat there and I wondered, and I'm like, why? You know, and the only conclusion that I came up with was an act of urgency, not more so an act of kindness, because she did it without a smile on her face. She did it with a brush of my hand in her direction, in my direction. And she was happy and joyful towards the situation. But when she looked back at me, she was just like, you know, frowning towards the situation, frowning towards me. You know, she didn't seem polite at all. Just more so of, you're in my way, get out my way, I'm gonna pay to move you out my way, if that's what it takes. I was thinking of this, but then God kind of stirred me in a different direction and told me to kind of relate the situation to my dream. And I just didn't feel kind-heartedly, you know, when somebody helps you and you feel like, oh, I should pay them back. Oh, thank you, because it's genuine. It wasn't genuine, and that's how I knew it wasn't genuine. I felt like it wasn't genuine, so I really didn't want her to pay for me because it didn't feel genuine. It didn't feel transparent. It didn't feel mutual. You feel me? It felt awkward. It felt like it shouldn't have happened. But the question is, has this always been the case? Have I always felt this way? But I just didn't have a way to express how I was feeling because it was a block of the situation. I was blindfolded while I was doing this and doing that. You know, my gut feeling is telling me, put it back. But I didn't put it back. Why? Because someone else paid. If this person didn't pay, I would have put it back. If this person didn't pay, I would have put it back like it was okay. It just tells me that I'm grateful, regardless of how I felt, regardless of how she felt. I'm grateful that it happened because obviously I needed it more than nothing. I felt like I needed it more than I thought, you know. So in my dream, this lady paid for some jewelry. She paid for me to have some jewelry, and I was like, oh, you didn't have to do that. And she did it with a smile on her face. You know, she was well dressed, nice wardrobe and everything, you know. She was so happy to do it for me. So then a guy walked in, huh? I don't know. A guy walked in and he bought, I don't know if he bought something else for me, but I know she bought that for me. But some white guy came in, and I won't put a color because he changed his ethnicity later on in a dream. He wasn't white no more. But he came in and he asked me what did I want. And I really didn't care for it getting anything, honestly. I really didn't, you know, but since they was offering, I feel like what Chris, I think it was Chris Tucker? No, it wasn't Chris Tucker. It was somebody else. Was it Eddie Murphy? It might have been. No, it was, I forget his name. He played on, you know that song with Michael Jackson? I can't believe I forgot his name, but he played on that song with him. Well, I keep thinking Chris Tucker. Is that his name? It might be. Okay, so he was like, I had a moment, you know. Michael Jackson was everything that I looked at that I didn't want, but I wanted it, but I didn't care for it in that way. Michael Jackson looked at it and was like, he seen him looking at it. He was like, you want this? You want that? And he was like, no, I don't want that. You know, but if you're giving it to me. And then he gave it to him. And then he said his black senses snapped on. Like, his black senses was basically activated, triggered. You know, now he's looking at everything like, oh yeah, you know, that's a nice Rolex. Not that one, but that one, you know, since you're so generous. No, it was a funny moment for me. So, what was I getting at? Why did I say that? Okay, so, so yeah, I was just like, you know, some situations is like that. And that's how I was, okay, so that's how I was thinking. That's how my mindset was in a dream. I'm like, oh, cool. Y'all catering to me? Sure, go ahead. I want this, I want that. So he bought it for me. But then just as she was checking out, she was looking at him skeptical. And she was basically like giving me the signal that I don't trust this guy. I don't know who this guy is. You don't know who this guy is. He just came in randomly saying he gonna buy something for you. Even though it kind of sounded like your situation. You saying you gonna buy something for me. But he was walking like anxiety in the store. Like fast paced. She was calm, she was humble, but he was more so fast paced like anxiety. And she checking me out. And you know, checking out my stuff, and we have to, you know, counter. And then the guy points a gun at her. And she's like, oh, you gonna shoot me? And he looked at her and shot her right in the head. It's like she was still alive in a moment, but dying. Because she was alive in a moment, but she was surprised that she was dying because she stared and she was like, oh, you shot me. And then that's when she collapsed. In the meantime, I'm sitting there panicking. I'm over by the counter. I'm just like, like hiding a little bit. And he made it clear that he wasn't about to shoot me. So we got on the road. He put me in his car. I ain't care because, you know, what I got to lose. You know, me and my son with me, he put us in a car. I was like, I just treated the situation as it was. Like, you know, it is what it is at this point. Don't be crossing the street without me. It is what it is at this point. So I should have been thinking about my son and whatnot. But obviously I knew the guy because I did say once we got in the car, I looked at him a little bit longer and he looked familiar. He was a stranger, but then he looked familiar. And I knew exactly who he was. And I was calm and I was collected and I was okay with the fact that, you know, where we was going, because we was on a highway and I didn't know where we was going. Wherever we was going, I just knew that it was fine by me. And that's when my dream ended, with us on a highway in this man's car driving away.
What's that?
A nest. A nest right there. But yeah, I don't know why that moment reminded me of that. But I guess, I don't know. Some people intentionally, they just do stuff. Not out of the kindness of their heart. Not mutually. It's not mutual. But it just reminded me that, maybe he could have saved me from the situation. Maybe he was looking at her the same way she was looking at him, like, oh no, I don't trust her. Then he saved me from my attacker in disguise. Come on, hurry up. A woman that made it seem like she was doing good, serving justice, or helping out someone who ain't had it, when really that wasn't the situation at all. But there was a time where I felt the energy was mutual. I felt like it was cool. She did what she paid for me, and it was a kind act. But something about me is like, I'm an empath towards the situation, and I can read expressions, but you never know who's helping you. Honestly, you don't know who's helping you intentionally. Your body may be feeling a certain way, but sometimes people do stuff because they know a little bit more than you do, and they'll rather it be them wearing your shoes for that day because they know you've done enough, you've been through enough, and they're in a position to take on for you what was meant for you. And it could be vice versa as well. So, yeah. I will talk to y'all when I talk to y'all. Sometimes I feel like I'm in the other person's shoes. Maybe that's me reflecting on the situation. That's something that I would do, because right now I'm not in a position of reaping from my own labor, or reaping from my own garden. Maybe. So yeah, I will talk to y'all next time. Bye. So this is what I wound up making when I got back home. I got some chicken breasts. Well, no, chicken thighs. I think these are chicken thighs. And I wound up putting them in the air fryer. And after they got done in the air fryer, I threw them in the noodles. And when I tell y'all, it was good. It was perfect. So yeah, I didn't throw in the onions yet. I just thought about that, but I have a bunch left over. So that's what I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna go in with some onions, and yeah, that'll be it. So yeah. For dinner, this is what I had. I had like a little small portion of this. My son I got him some pizza. And yeah, it was so weird because I was on the way to the store, and I was waving the bus driver down as if we didn't make it to the bus stop in time. But honestly, I wasn't intending on getting on the bus, but I was like, hey, why not? And she passed right by me. I was clear as day, and she just drove right by me. I'm like, wow. And I called them some assholes. I said, bus drivers, nowadays you can't stop a person from being an asshole. At the end of the day, people are just gonna be assholes, and sometimes you just can't control situations. Sometimes it is what it is. You can't sugarcoat it or nothing. And the fact that she was just looking directly, she knew what it was, but she just chose not to stop the bus. And I hate bus drivers like that, honestly.